Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Cesar Rojas. I am a Product Marketing Manager for the Nutanix Database Service, NDB, and I will be your host today. We're thrilled to have you here as part of the Nutanix Database Service Tech Talk series. Today, we will deep dive into the innovations provided by the Nutanix Database Service 2.8 that has been recently released. Our speakers are Jeremy Lonier and Raghu Jha. Both are principal PMs in the Nutanix Database Service organization. During this session, you will be able to ask questions using the Zoom QA link, which is at the bottom of your screen. And we might answer any questions in real time or during the Q&A section of this webinar. Before we start our presentation with Jeremy and Raghu, we would like to understand your current level of adoption. For that, we would like for you to answer the following questions on this poll. The poll should be showing up on your screen, and you can start, answering to those two questions so we can understand where you're at in your journey with NDB. I'm going to leave that poll open for a little bit until we get the answers. If you're just joining into this Tech Talk, please try to answer the questions on this poll that is showing up on the screen so we can understand your current level of adoption of NDB. I see some 2.8 customers already, which is great. This will be very beneficial to you. Okay, I'm gonna let it run for a little bit more as people join the Tech Talk. Okay, I think we have a lot of the responses, so I'm going to close down the poll and share the results. Okay, we have some of you that are 2.8, we have 2.7 users, we have 2.6 users. That's great. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, without further ado, let's welcome Jeremy and Raghu as they take us through today's session. Please remember to ask your questions using the Q&A link and not the chat link, and we will try to answer again in real time or during the Q&A section of the Tech Talk. Over to you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Cesar. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from. Really happy to have you here today, and happy to really go deep and give you a good understanding of what's the latest from Nutanix and from NDB. For those of you that are not that familiar with NDB, I'll spend just a few minutes and explain what the product's about and what problems we solve. Just so you get a little bit more familiar with it. So the idea with NDB is it's a database management platform that enables you to automate provisioning, patching, backup recovery, cloning, scaling, and patching of your databases. And that can be exposed through self-service, through RESTful APIs, through integrations with Kubernetes, CLIs, as well as a GUI-based console for your end users. We see many of our customers using this both as a platform for DBAs and database platform engineering teams to be able to standardize their database service offerings and offer those in more of a self-service experience to their lines of business and their application and development teams, as well as just the database administration teams that are just looking to streamline how they manage their databases as well. NDB supports the most popular database engines in the market today. So we've really focused our efforts around SQL Server, Oracle Database, MySQL, Postgres, MongoDB, EDB, as well as MariaDB. And particularly for Postgres, we've also gone through extra efforts to test and validate the most popular Postgres extensions with both EDB and with Community Postgres, so that you have a lot of flexibility for what your use case, whether it be traditional, relational, non-relational, or vectorized use cases around AI. The entire platform is a control plane, so it can run on top of Nutanix infrastructure, running your choice of hypervisor. So that could be ESX, AHV. And likewise, because it's running on top of Nutanix infrastructure, it can run on premises on your hardware, or it can run on the public cloud on top of NC2. And we support both AWS as well as Azure. So so let me just kind of jump into more details. So I think one of the things that we've really tried to focus on over the last 24 months or so is to really be consistent with our releases, and to just be on time and just release and have a nice good added value with every release. And so I just wanted to pop up this screen and show you an example of how we've done that since August of last year, where we released three distinct releases: 2.6, which had a number of improvements around scalability, and new support for new operating systems and databases, improvements to how we handle patching. 2.7, where we started to introduce the first phase of MongoDB sharded cluster support, as well as a lot of enterprise requests around encryption. We added full-blown support for NDB on Azure with NC2. And this latest release, 2.8, which we excuse me, which we just released a few weeks ago in the beginning of April. And in that one, this is where I'm going to dive much deeper, but we really did a lot in this area. We not only did we make some improvements around patching for SQL Server, so now you can do bulk patching with SQL Server, and we'll walk through some examples of how that's done. We also expanded the number of Nutanix clusters that can be used with a single deployment of NDB, which really opens up a lot of use cases around more complex HA database topologies. So for example, if you have situations where maybe you deploy a writable database at one site, and then you have multiple replicas at that same site, and then you want to have additional replicas at a remote site for DR purposes. So now you have a lot of more flexibility across multiple different fault domains where you may run your database servers. There's a big focus that we've been making over the last couple of releases, and that will continue into the future, around really beefing up our time machine and enhancing its capabilities. And so in this release, we added a pretty amazing enhancement around sophisticated health monitoring and really tracking the ability to recover from backups. So Raghu is going to be showing a demo later, and we'll go into more detail about that. We also expanded our support for NDB on AWS, which is something we supported for quite a while, but we made a lot of enhancements there. And then last, we added support for some of the latest database engines. So all in all, really good track record, and we're looking forward to continuing to do the same in future releases of the product. So let's get into more details. So for these are probably some of the key 5 sort of themes, if you will, of areas where we've made improvements with NDB and 2.8. I guess the first, I'm gonna just kind of go directly into it. So for Time Machine, I'm gonna have Raghu get off the mute and just maybe talk to this for a bit. So Raghu, can you speak to this, and can you speak to the enhancements we've made with Time Machine?
Sure. Thank you, Jeremy. And good morning, good evening, everyone. One very important thing that we have done, and for those people who have downloaded 2.8, right, they would see these updates. So we've introduced new health statuses for time machines, right? So earlier, customers used to only see either it is ready or, uh, I mean, I think they would just see ready and paused, right? They would not see any other statuses. So we've introduced new health statuses that depict the exact current state of the time machine. So these statuses are critical, warning, healthy, and paused. So critical basically means that your current recoverability is failing. So if you have log backups scheduled every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, so your current log backups are failing. If you have not set up point in time recovery and you're only taking snapshots, so the most recent snapshot, right? So let's assume you've scheduled your snapshot to run at 10 a.m. every day. So your today's snapshot has failed, right? Or there is a schedule missed with that snapshot. It was supposed to run at 10, but it is running at like 12 or 1, right? So such time machines are in critical status. Warning is where your current recoverability is good, but then in the past there have been failures. So let's assume that you set up a retention policy of 7 days, right? So you want to keep your backups, basically your snapshots and logs for 7 days, and in those 7 days, uh, maybe on the fourth day, your snapshots failed, right? And your log backups failed on like maybe the fifth day or something of that sort, right? And there is a hole in the time machine, so we are not able to recover that area due to some issues. So then but your most recent recoverability is available, so it will show up in warning status. Healthy is if everything is working fine, everything is going good, there are no issues. So then the time machine shows green, everything is healthy in your retention period. Paused is if you have paused the time machine, right? So there are three use cases for when a time machine will go into pause, right? So one is where the customer has put the time machine in a pause status. Second is where if there are like consecutive failures, right? So there are log backup failures and the status, I mean, the time machine is just going on failing continuously. And after maybe 500, 600 log backup failures, it will go into a pause state. So after that, NDB will not continue attempting log backups. That is one. And if your source database is deleted, but you decided to retain your time machines, so then they remain in pause status. So this is the health statuses. Other than that, I will depict all of this in the demo, but there is a dashboard that tells how many databases are protected with time machines. And among those time machines that are available, how many are in critical pause, the same health statuses that I spoke about. As I said, right? So the timeline, the time machine timeline in the calendar view will show the exact status. So if there is a failure, it will show red. If there is recoverability available, it will show green. So accurate depiction. Also on the timeline, if there is a red and if there is an actual failed operation that is related to the log backup failure or snapshot failure, so then you can hover over the failure and you can actually navigate to the operation failure. So why would customers care, right? So you would want to know predictability around your time machines. If you want to do clone refreshes, so make sure that your time machine is up to date. Or if you just want to make sure that your backups are available to be ready for restore, right? So uh, and I think this health reliability will really help. I'll talk about it more when I'm doing the actual demo. But yeah, Jeremy, that is about the time machine enhancements.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Raghu. Okay, fantastic. So let me jump into the next area of enhancement in the product. And this has been a long pending request by a number of our enterprise customers. And we have supported this for other database engines, but we weren't able to do it earlier in prior releases for SQL Server. So what this does is this is a enhancement that enables you to do bulk patching of Microsoft SQL Server. So in NDB, the way it works is NDB has what's referred to as a maintenance window, where you can give it a name, you can define a schedule, a start and end date on a particular day of the week or day of the month, and you can choose to opt your databases into being part of that schedule. So you can mass apply a number of database servers, in this case SQL Server, to a maintenance window. And as part of that, you can opt into SQL Server Patching. And NDB has long supported SQL Server Patching, and it's pretty sophisticated. In fact, it even supports rolling non-disruptive patching for always-on clusters and for FCI clusters. But what this does is this allows you to deploy it across your fleet as part of a scheduled operation. And it has a nice ability to define a start and to the extent that we can to ending time. And so now you can both patch your SQL Server environments, and you don't have to worry about applying those patches one at a time. So really, this is a big savings for DBA teams. It'll save you a lot of time, and it's also just gives you a lot more flexibility to you can always do one-off patching if you need to, but now you can just set more of a set and forget, if you will, for keeping your systems patched. There's also some enhancements we've made around Oracle, and I'll just kind of quickly highlight these because these are more minor, individually minor, but in aggregate, they really help. So we've long supported Oracle patching, a single instance, CHA, as well as Oracle Rack patching. And what we've done here is we've just added some additional enhancements to make the whole patching experience faster with less downtime, and to and to provide more error handling and recoverability options for any scenarios where we may see a patching failure and we need to roll back the patching process and whatnot. So it's a couple of key areas. One was around running additional pre-validations prior to kicking off the patching to make sure the system is 100% ready to take the patch before the patch can be applied. So we have a high confidence there won't be a rollback. The second one is that when there are rollbacks, to make sure the database is completely brought back to a ready to be used state. And then the last one is just more environments, basically support for more flexibility for different types of Oracle deployments. So all in all, this just makes the Oracle patching experience more reliable and more consistent, and will result in less scenarios where if there is a problem, that there's some kind of manual intervention that you need to do, that we're in a better position to automatically roll back and roll back the patch that may have been partially applied. And by the way, if you do have questions about these slides while I'm speaking, do add your questions to the Q&A, because Raghu is looking at the Q&A, and if there's anything that he can answer offline, he will do so. And likewise, if there's anything that he wants to bring to my attention, he can interrupt me, and then I can try to answer that live while we're presenting. Okay, so next topic is MongoDB. So as you know, we do support MongoDB in the product, and we've long supported single instance and replica sets. We're on a journey to support MongoDB sharding, the first of which came in the last release, the 2.7 release. What this enhancement is about is enhancement to give you a lot more flexibility to choose specific IP addresses at the time of provisioning MongoDB. So our standard process in NDB for a number of releases has been that you define a pool of IP addresses ahead of time, and that at the time of provisioning, your databases just automatically get assigned IP addresses from that available pool. So there could be an available pool for MongoDB databases, and then IPs get assigned. Now, with this enhancement, at the time of provisioning, if you want to, you can choose specific IP addresses to each of the components in your stack, right? So if you have a highly available MongoDB replica set, for example, you could choose specific IP addresses on each node in that replica set. And that gives you a lot more predictability. It also makes it easier to make sure that if you have, say, like your DNS records already associated with your IP addresses, that you're getting specific IPs assigned as part of your deployment, so you can be a lot more precise. And this came about as a result of a lot of requests from our enterprise customers, where they just wanted a lot more precision around how databases get spun up so that they would be applied with specific IP addresses. So the IPs are still dynamically applied from the pool, but now you could choose the specific IP addresses from the pool. And this gives you a lot more flexibility there. Okay, let's talk about the cloud. So, as I mentioned in one of the beginning slides, we have had earlier support for AWS. We added support for AWS about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, but it was somewhat limited, and that it was based on native Amazon networking, and that meant that it limited certain use cases like highly available database clusters. And so with 2.8, what we've done is we've added parity to what we did in 2.7 with Azure. And what that means is we can now use flow networking as a network overlay to host your databases. And that gives us flexibility to support multicast traffic, which means we can now support all of our supported database engines: SQL Server, Oracle Database, Postgres, MongoDB, MySQL, MariaDB, EDB, all running on top of EC2 and Azure. And in fact, we even support HA deployments. So that includes our Postgres database, MongoDB, SQL Server, even Oracle RAC. So we give a lot of flexibility. Now you can run any database configuration that you can do on-prem. You can now run on either AWS and or on Azure. And I guess from a benefit perspective, really the key benefit here is this really opens up the doors for situations where if you do need to deploy your databases across multiple clouds, you can have a consistent way of doing so, consistent way of patching them, consistent way of scaling and backing them up and protecting them. And that if you do, you could even start to explore hybrid scenarios. For example, we have examples of customers that are looking at For example, MongoDB deployments, where part of the MongoDB deployment is on-prem, and then they have replicas that act as witnesses that sit in the cloud. So it just opens up a lot of doors for DR, as well as scenarios where maybe you don't have as many data centers on-prem as you need, and so you may use a cloud to help part of your HA deployment model. Raghu, just pause for a second. Raghu, are there any questions on the chat that you'd like me to answer?
I think you can go ahead, Jeremy. I'll be answering wherever possible.
Okay, cool. And at the end, if the question's not answered, at the end there is a dedicated QA session, so we will definitely go through any questions you guys have. All right, so let's talk about this next thing. So this may seem trivial, but it's actually quite beneficial to customers. So NDB, as of 2.7, supported 3 Nutanix clusters registered per NDB deployment, which kind of limited flexibility around the type of database HA DR architecture. And so really what we've done in 2.8 is we've extended that to up to 6 clusters per NDB deployment. And what this does is this just opens up the doors for more complex architectures. So like I said before, if you have an example of say like a Postgres environment where you may want to have multiple replicas hosted on different Nutanix clusters. You now can have up to 6 replicas, right? Including load balancers and stuff spread across multiple infrastructure that could be hosted in different data centers, different server rooms, or potentially hosted in different regions. So it just opens up the door for more complex database topologies by having support for more infrastructure behind the scenes. Okay. All right. So from a database OS. I'm sorry, go ahead, Raghu. Was there a question?
Yeah, there is one comment around Oracle Rack, and its support only on Oracle clouds, not supported on Oracle clouds. So, do you want to add anything there? And there's a
Somehow, thank you. I knew that somebody was going to ask that question. So I think that's a fair point. Oracle only claims to support Oracle Rack on OCI. And so that's very true. What we've done is we've tested and validated that all of our supported database deployments, including Oracle Rack, can run on NC2 in either AWS or Azure. Now, support from an Oracle perspective, you're going to be limited to OCI, so I wouldn't recommend that for production. But this may be appropriate for tests, or if you maybe, for example, if you're relying on a third-party Oracle support vendor, you can explore that. But it just gives you options and flexibility if you so need it. Hopefully that answers. Is there a follow-up question to that, Raghu?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so one of the things we've really done over the last, I would say probably the last 4 releases over the last year, is we've largely decoupled the way in which we test and validate new versions of operating systems and databases from our release vehicles. So what that means is if there aren't any code changes, we will independently test new versions of Postgres and Mongo and Maria and MySQL and SQL Server against new versions of operating systems. And if there's no code changes, then we'll just update and publish into our compatibility matrix on our support portal that those new versions are supported on existing versions of NDB. But in rare cases where we find that there are some kind of automation or code change required on the NDB side, then as a follow-up to that initial testing, we will make those code changes and then package those as part of a follow-up release. And so there were 2 that fell into that category here. And these were really about adding support for Postgres 17, both community and EDB advanced Postgres advanced server, as well as MongoDB 8 community edition and MongoDB 8 enterprise edition. So we've qualified these 2 new major OS versions, which is pretty significant, and we're trying to really stay on top of those new versions. And then at the same time, we also tested and validated with RHEL 9.5. And we validated both Rocky Linux and RHEL 9.5 across all those supported database engines. There were a couple of older versions that we have deprecated, and I would just call out that we're not blocking anything on the NDB side. So if you have older versions, These versions are now deprecated, and they're no longer supported by NDB. In fact, they're no longer supported by the vendors, but by the database vendors. But if you happen to have old systems that are running with these versions on NDB, we're not breaking functionality, but we do strongly encourage you to upgrade as quickly as possible so that you can get support from both us on those databases as well as from the database engine vendor themselves and from the operating system vendor. Okay.
Jeremy, there's a question if Postgres on top of OEL is supported. Do you want
That's a good question. I think I would have to refer to our release notes. I don't recall offhand, but while you're doing a demo on Time Machine, I can follow up on that. I can check real quick and I can respond in the chat. Okay, so let me do that. So Raghu, why don't you provide why don't you go into your demo on the Time Machine, and then I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and just quickly check that for that question, and I'll respond back on the chat.
Okay, great. Okay, so as I said, so with the Time Machine, we've introduced a lot of improvements around health. I have two setups. So first I will go through the setup that I have here. So the first thing, when you log into NDB, you will see this
Hey,
new.
Raghu, one second. Looks like we had a raised hand. Garrett, can you unmute them and have them come on and ask the question?
Hey, David.
Oh, sorry, I didn't do that on purpose. I apologize, guys. I didn't realize it was me.
Okay, no worries. Go ahead, Raghu. But this is a good reminder, folks, that you can use the Q&A, but you can also, we'd like this to be as interactive as possible. So please feel free, don't be shy. Jeremy and Raghu won't bite. So you can raise your hand and ask your question live.
Sure. So as I said, the first thing when you log into the NDB dashboard, this is a new widget that you will observe. So the first part of this widget is where we let you know that out of the total databases that you have either provisioned or registered with NDB, how many databases have time machines enabled, right? So, so this will let you know about that, right? And among those databases that have time machines enabled, right, or among those time machines that are available, what is the health status and how many time machines are in critical state, right? So this is call for action, basically letting you know that there is maybe one of your time machines that has some failure or some issue, right? And you can directly go and we will show you a filtered view of the list of time machines that have issues, right? And you can see the status here. So we've introduced another filter here, right? So view by health or general, right? So view by health will just let you know about the health. You can also hover over the cluster and see. So if you have your snapshots and logs replicated to multiple clusters, so we'll list down those clusters and we'll let you know what is the status of the snapshots and logs on every cluster, right? So that is one thing. So I'll just go back to Time Machine. So if you go to data protection and Time Machine, navigate to Time Machine, the first thing, another new thing that we've introduced is this overview section. So in the overview section, right, the same thing that you saw in the dashboard, but in more detail, right? So a pictorial view. So here we let you know how many of your databases are critical, how many in warning, how many in paused, and how many are healthy. And if you want to know, right, what each mean, right, the explanation here. And if you really want to understand more about what all changes have gone around this, we've also given a learn more with a link to a knowledge base article, right? And in this, there is a detailed explanation for all the different statuses and what you will see. So there's a lot of information, cool information here around how time machines will look and how you can view the error messages, multiple things. So we have given you a complete documentation that is available here. So going back to this dashboard screen here. So this is Time Machine dashboard overview. And if you go to the list page again, right? So the status here, you can see how many databases how many time machines are in healthy status, how many are in pause, critical, warning, right? And also, as I said, right, on which clusters have these been replicated and what is the health across these clusters, right? So I have another setup here as well, and this has slightly more number of failures, right? And as you see, I have like 299 time machines, and I have a lot of issues here, right? So a lot of criticals and others. So going back here, right? So let's go into maybe one of the critical time machines. So this is critical, right? So one thing you can see here, right, on the calendar view is a red icon saying that your most current recoverability is failing, and that is why your status is critical. If I hover over it, I think this is the current log backup operation. I think the operation has not been picked up, and that is why it is showing in failed status, right? And it'll show you when was the last successful log catch-up, when is the next planned log catch-up, when was the last snapshot taken, when is the next snapshot that is going to be taken. A lot of information that is provided here, and on which cluster is this, and what is the SLA, right? So if you want to know for how many days, right, you set up continuous protection for 14 days, right? So accordingly here. So yeah. So and what is your log backup schedule, right? So every 30 minutes log backups run. So this is around your health of the time machine. This is one of the critical time machines, right? So let's go to another time machine, which is in maybe warning state. Yeah. So when I said warning state, so the current log backup, right, is successful, but as you see, there is a failure that has happened at around 7 p.m. Right. So there is a failure in the past. So you can go there, you can navigate, you can check why there is a failure, and as it says, right, this is a snapshot failure and log backup, right? So you can navigate to the log backup operation, right? So this is taking slightly longer, but yeah, so you can also, if there's a failure, you can navigate to the actual failure, and it will take you to the operations page and let you know what is the reason for the failure. So this is about yeah, so that is about a warning status, and healthy is obviously within your retention period. So whatever is your retention period. So for last 14 days, as you can see, for last 14 days, all my log backups have been successful, right? And that would be shown as healthy. So you don't have to worry too much about this particular time machine, right? So yeah, maybe going through maybe one more critical, right? So if you see this availability group, yeah, it has been failing consistently at least for the last 5 days, right? So constantly the log backups have been failing. It's supposed to run every 15 minutes, but it's been failing. So go and check what is the reason for this failure, so you can navigate to the operation and it'll tell you, right? So this log catch up, right, operation has failed, and gives you the actual reason. You can then generate the logs and you can go through that. So that is around the time machine health statuses that we spoke about. I covered the dashboard, I covered the list, and also I spoke about, so let's see here. So it says that in this cluster, the time machine status is, so there's no time machine replication, or it's been paused in cluster 3, but in cluster 1 and 2, it's been failing, right? So similarly here. And so, yeah. So this is about the time machines. I think there is a lot of improvements coming around the time machine health and time machine status. This is just 2 widgets here. We'll be adding a lot more widgets to explain. We'll be having error categorization, storage consumption reporting, how much time machines, how much storage is your snapshot consuming. All of those things will be coming in future releases. But just letting you know that we have started with the time machine health here, and we'll be progressing as we move forward. Um, that's it from my side, Jeremy. I don't have anything else to cover.
Okay, fantastic. And I was just checking the chat. I don't see any specific questions, but maybe it's because you covered a lot. So, guys, if you have any follow-up questions that come to mind, feel free to post it on QA or raise your hand. And then, likewise, if any of you guys would like to have follow-up one-on-one conversations with our product team to better talk about your plans and what's working well, what's not working well, or areas, maybe roadmap requests or feature requests. We would love to have these types of conversations as well. So all that's on the table. So with that, let me just close out the part of the presentation, and we can go into more of an open Q&A. Let me share my screen again. All right. Okay. Last of the conversation. So I just posted a QR code, and I just kindly ask you to go ahead and just capture that QR code and check out the website. This is a link to a blog for 2.8 that was posted by Caesar a little while back, and this blog is really nice because it really articulates a lot of the key improvements in the product, the ones that we just kind of went through. And it also includes some great links to the release notes, to test drive, where you can kind of take, if you don't have NDB deployed, you can take it for a spin live on the fly. And it also provides some context around our upcoming .NET customer conference, .NET customer conference, where we in fact have multiple NDB related sessions, of which both Raghu and I will be presenting in front of the session audience. So please check that out, and we're very much looking forward to working with you and future conversations.
Yeah, and I also included the link on the chat to the blog post and a video that David Tig shared with this audience as well. Is included on the link to the 2.8 video on YouTube. You can also watch. Thank you for that, Jeremy.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's just maybe just open it up to any additional questions and answers. And if anybody's feeling shy, that's fine, no worries. But if you feel interested in asking any specific questions, raise your hand and we can have a chat. Or if you want to, you can post your chat on the Q&A. Well, I guess as expected, we're not seeing anything. Maybe that's because we did such a great job of answering your questions live and explaining the new feature functionality. Like I said, if you don't feel comfortable necessarily, that's fine. But if you'd like to do a follow-up one-on-one, we're happy to do that as well.
We do have
And,
a question. We do have a question from Francisco on the Q&A.
Fantastic. Let's migrate. So Francisco, your question is migrating CentOS to Linux 9.5. So that's it. So Francisco, do you want to did you want to go on audio and kind of explain what your situation a little bit more, or you preferred for me just to respond? Yeah, maybe I'll just kind of see if I can summarize what I think you're asking, and you can tell me if that's right. So I think the point you're trying to raise is that you have some databases that are on CentOS 7 today, and you're trying to transition to either Rocky Linux or RHEL 9.5, and that process is proving to be tricky for you. And so I think that's a good point. Maybe there's something we can do to help you from a services angle or from a pre-sales angle to help you with that sort of transition. I know that Red Hat does have tooling to provide in-place conversions from CentOS to RHEL. I'm not aware of whether there's any open source tooling to do the same for Rocky, but certainly for Red Hat there is a way to do that. Can you comment as to whether you're using Rocky or whether you're using Red Hat Enterprise Linux?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't speak English fluently. I have a Nutanix NDB cluster in all cluster Nutanix. I want to destroy actually cluster to migrate NDB databases, a new cluster Nutanix and on-place disk. The new NDB cluster has out of the box Rocky Linux 9.5, and the old NDB cluster, all databases, Postgres, MySQL, are in CentOS 7 out the box. We I need migrate databases that currently without export SQL databases to migrate Rock Linux MySQL databases. Exist any form, any way to migrate databases clearly?
Got it. Okay, yeah, thank you, Francisco. So I think we can definitely help you with that. There's I think maybe the best course of action would be to reach out to your Nutanix account team and ask, raise the concern and the problem you're having, and ask for them to set up a call with our product team and or with our services organization to help you plan out how you can make that upgrade. We can Nutanix can definitely help you with that, but I think obviously swapping out operating systems on that live databases is a little tricky, so it requires a little bit of planning and coordination. But we can absolutely help you. I would just say start by reaching out to your account team.
Okay.
Okay. I think we answered that question. So let's see. Are there any other questions from anybody else?
I don't think so. I think we're. If there's any other questions, please raise your virtual hand or ask a question in the Q&A window, please. Okay.
Hey, Caesar, while we're doing that, can you remind the audience about any upcoming tech talks that we have planned?
So yeah, the next one will likely be on June. And I think the focus is going to be on provisioning. Which is a very hot topic for a lot of our customers. Provision and storage scaling. At this point, we'll confirm the date specifically in June of the next Tech Talk. There's a question from Alberto.
Yeah, I can take this one. So for roadmap, we're happy to have those discussions. Please, I think typically from my experience, those work better in a more one-on-one setting, so we can really dive into your use case and what you're looking to accomplish with NDB, how you're using it today, and what are the areas that you'd like to see us address in the future. So please reach out to your account team and or your Nutanix representative, and they'll get in touch with us on the product side, and we'll set that up. We're happy to have those conversations.
There's another question. If I don't know if you want to take it.
Okay, yeah, let me look at it. Is there a roadmap? Is there a roadmap for the upcoming changes and/or improvements planned for NDB? Interested in the topic on the reporting dashboard capability. Yeah, I think this one actually, Jeremy is the main PM who's been looking at some of that. And again, like I said, I think it might be best if you reach out to, you have our emails as well. Just our first name dot last name at nutanix.com. And or Cesar through but I would recommend keeping your account team, Nutanix representatives in the loop, just so that it's, we don't want kind of one-off type of engagements. It's always great for us to touch base with you as frequently as necessary. So we're happy to have those conversations directly in a more intimate one-on-one setting where we can really dive into your use case.
Okay, fantastic. Well, and thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad. I appreciate all of you guys joining today. I hope this was educational and useful, and we have a lot planned, for the NDB this year and the next. So there's a lot going on. So yeah, would definitely encourage you. For those of you that are going to be attending .next, we'll be welcoming you with open arms and looking forward to you joining our sessions and EB access if you would like to. And for those of you that are not, well, maybe there's next time. But nonetheless, thank you very much for joining today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy, Raghu, and Ahmed. Stay tuned for the next NDB Tech Talk. As I mentioned to you, is going to be in June. We're going to be announcing, the date specifically. So thank you so much for joining today. Appreciate all your help and your questions.